Again, I want to tell you how honored I am to have Governor Sarah Palin as my running mate, who has done so much already to lift the spirits and morale of people all over this country, because change is coming, and change is coming.
That was John McCain reiterating his support for Governor Palin today before a throng of supporters in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. He went to Wisconsin and to Michigan, two blue states he wants to turn red here this fall. What does the Alaska governor mean to the ticket in important swing states like Wisconsin? Joining me now to dissect the Palin factor, former New York Congresswoman and Republican strategist Susan Molinari and MSNBC political analyst Lawrence O'Donnell. Welcome both.
Thank you.
Susan, let me start with you. The first poll gauging Palin's power is out today. An ABC News poll taken yesterday asked voters whether Palin on the ticket gave them a little bit more confidence in McCain. Among all voters, 43% said yes. Palin makes them more confident in McCain. 38% said they are less confident in him. But look at this. Among Republicans, a whopping 80% say they are more confident in McCain now. Just 9% say they are less confident. We know what the story is coming out of this convention, don't we, Susan?
We sure do. This was a big move for John McCain in terms of solidifying his base, in terms of exciting the Republican Party. They raised $10 million in one day after the announcement of Sarah Palin, and as she got brought to the attention of the American people. But it also does another thing. It shows the character of John McCain in a way that has been introduced, to not many people, where he saw this incredible woman who was a terrific leader, who has a family that resembles all of our families, and he said, you know what, this sends an important message to people throughout the United States that we can lead and also take care of our families and take care of our homes. Okay, and I think that's just an incredible message.
Lawrence, here's the thing. Coming out of Denver, I thought that Barack Obama did something that was very clear, which says this is an election about change. If you don't like what's going on right now, vote for me. That's change. What McCain seems to be doing is a little bit more convoluted, though certainly powerful. He's revved up the base with Palin. He's positioned himself and her as reformers. He's got that record to back it up over time. She appears to as well, what we know about her record. And yet he's running against Washington as if he wasn't part of the party that was in power. It's a little difficult to put it all together.
But you see that Sarah Palin is the linchpin, David, to that strategy. You couldn't have even attempted it with anyone else. It had to be someone so fresh from out of nowhere politically that makes people think, wow, this really is change. And she is change. She definitely personifies change. It does, however, put an unprecedented burden on the vice presidential candidate on a ticket. I mean, I can't think of a situation in which a vice presidential candidate has been, in effect, now carrying a ticket in its basic concept that it's trying to advance, which is change. And, on the issue that Ann Cronbluth was just talking about, the whole question of how accurate are these Sarah Palin stories, the folklore of putting the airplane on eBay to sell it. Well, she put it on eBay, but she didn't actually sell it on eBay because it didn't work. The bridge to nowhere, David, I think is one of the most tricky areas for her to continue to refer to. The implication, the very clear message on the bridge to nowhere when she says, I said thanks, but no thanks on the bridge to nowhere.
Right.
The clear sensation of that is, they offered me $300 million for a bridge, and I said no. Well, the truth of the story is she first of all was in favor of the bridge when she was campaigning for governor, and there's some people who are very bitter about her reversal on that in Alaska. She then took the money. Alaska took all of the money, and Alaska is building the access road now on the island to a bridge that does not exist. So there is, in John McCain's definition of wasteful government spending, it all actually did happen in that story, and they have to be very careful of that story.
Susan, let me get to this point about that Lawrence makes about her carrying the ticket in effect right now. I think is so important because there has got to be a concern in the McCain camp that her initial appearance, as dazzling as it was, might represent a high water mark. Senator Biden is going to appear on Meet the Press Sunday with Tom Brokaw, but McCain's campaign manager, Rick Davis, was on Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough this morning and said there's no plans yet for her to do any interviews. Listen to this.
Can we expect Sarah Palin on Meet the Press and other one-on-one interviews throughout the course of this campaign?
We're going to do whatever we think is the best to win. We have 60 days left. And if we think it's a good idea to go out there and do those shows, we'll do them.
Can you avoid it?
If we think it's a good idea to go out and travel around, we can afford anything we want to do.
Well, but this is the question, Susan. Can they really? You've got 60 days. She's going to have a learning curve. That's clear as she gets ready for these debates. How important is it for her to establish her bona fides in these kinds of interviews in the national stage?
Well, first of all, to say that she's carrying the McCain campaign now sort of dismisses the fact that before both conventions started, Senator McCain and Barack Obama were tied. So just one-on-one, John McCain was doing fine on his own. What Sarah, with Governor Palin, has done is really just given an added oomph to bringing in a whole nother complexion of people who may not have voted for John McCain, including women who were disenfranchised by the way the Democrats dealt with their selection of the vice president. So, I mean, I think she's adding to it, but she's certainly not carrying the ticket. I think anybody who watched her speech on Wednesday night, listen, I have tremendous confidence. I've talked to people who come from Alaska. This was not her first appearance. It was her first appearance of an amazing national magnitude, but she's got a pretty good reputation for being a straight shooter, a good talker, and a very smart individual in Alaska. So I think they will bring her out there, and I think she'll continue to be an asset to a ticket that's going to win anyway.